Greetings, people. It's Paul at Green Star Homestead. I'm going to talk to you today about raising chicks. When you get them brand new, either from mail catalog or from the store, when you bring them home, you're going to want to have a brooder to put them in. That's what I've got here. Yours doesn't have to be, as a, like official like this thing is. It can be a cardboard box or any number of things that'll contain a chicken, their water, and their feed, and a heat lamp. You do have to have a heat lamp. That's not just a regular light bulb. It's a heat lamp. Chicks need to stay about 90 degrees. So, I've got mine out here in the shop. I just, during the day and at night, I keep that lid shut to keep them safe. Being out here in the shop, they're safe from varmints and they're safe from the wind. They're very loud. We tried having them in the house, and you can't sleep. They're constantly chirping. What you need to have in here, like I said, the heat lamp. They have plenty of room in here. When you get them from a mail catalog, I think it's 15. I think is what you have to order. And then if you're going to buy them at the farm store during chick days, of course you can buy one or you can buy 20, as many as you want. You just want to make sure that your brooder is large enough to house however many chicks you're buying. We usually get somewhere between 10 and 15, which this is more than ample for that. If they get chilly, they can go underneath the heat lamp, and if they get too warm, they can come away from the heat lamp. So they got plenty of room to move around in here and do their thing. I do have a perch here, just a 2x4 flipped on its side where they can, because as they get a little older, they'll actually jump up there and roost. Hens like to do that. And then on the floor, you want to have something that's absorbent. What we've got here is the cedar chips. We bought that at the same store where we got the chicks. The cedar chips will absorb the moisture both from their waste, but more importantly from the water. You got your water here, and chicks are a lot like puppies. They got to get into absolutely everything. So as soon as you put that water in there, they're going to climb in the water dish, and they're going to get water all over the place. So you want to make sure that you've got something that will absorb that water so that there's not puddles all over the floor, because that's going to get the chickens the babies all wet, and when they're wet, they're going to get cold, and if they get cold, they're going to die. So have something that will absorb the water. It's okay if it's damp, just as long as there's not puddles where they're going to be, soaking wet. So this water, it's got the lip here, so the water fills up to the top of the lip. So they'll get in here and splash around and do what chicks do. You're going to want to change the water 4 or 5 times a day, because when they're playing in there, they're going to poop in there, and when they poop in there, it's going to mix all in the water. So check the water frequently, dump it out. Don't fill this all the way up, because you're going to be changing it so often during the day, probably 4 or 5 times every day. So just fill it up maybe a quarter to a third, and then you can't go like this to put it on there, all the water to dump out. So when you put the water in there, the bottom goes on first, and then you just screw the bottom on, turn it over, and then the water will fill up to this lip. When you turn it over, set it in there, and like I said, then as soon as you put it in there, boy, here they come. They got to get back in it, because you just put something new in there. They got to see what the hell it is. You want to have a cover like this. This is just a standard chick feeder. They're cheap. You can get metal ones or plastic. But you open that up, you pour your feed in there, then you close it, and they can get their heads through these holes to eat the food. They will get on top of it, because it's like a little perch. And when they're on top of it, they're going to poop. So they're going to poop down into the feed. So open that up, and check when you're checking the chicks frequently. Open that up. And if there's a poop in there, just kind of grab it and get it out of there, and then close it back up. And I don't generally fill this all the way up for the same reason as the water, because they're going to be pooping in there and making a mess. I'll fill it about halfway. That way, if there is enough poop in it that I need to dump it completely out, I'm not wasting too much food. The food that you want to give them is the medicated crumbles. That's what it's called, and that has medication in it for the food suppliers know what keeps chicks healthy. So I don't know what that is, but they do. They know what the kind of medicine that chicks need. So the medicine's in the crumbles. It's called medicated crumbles, and I think it'll tell you on the bag how old they're supposed to be is, you know, when you're feeding that to them. When you get them home from the store or through the mail, they're going to be 2 days old. So I don't remember, it's like 12 weeks or something like that, but it'll tell you on the bag, and then you can start incorporating the regular chicken feed. Mix it in a little with the medicated crumbles. Don't just switch it right now. Start putting regular chicken feed in with the medicated crumbles so they kind of get used to the new feed, and then eventually you can stop adding the medicated crumbles. Also, when you put your food container in there, don't put it underneath the perch, because when they get on the perch, then they're going to be pooping into the crumbles. So just have it away from the perch a little bit too. So a little side note there. When it's at night, like I said, we keep this closed all the time, but at night especially, because this is out in the shop, if it's going to be a colder night, normally the chicks are going to come in the spring, so it's going to be warmer out, but you know, we'll have those cold nights in the spring. So I'll take these towels and just drape them on the front of the brooder, and that just helps maintain the heat inside. So I'll just do like that, and then in the morning I come out and, you know, take the towels back off. So those are keeping the medicated crumbles in there, and then the heat lamp. That's pretty much going to control. You're going to have some fatality. We've had where we've lost 3 or 4 out of 15, and we've had where all 15 live. I mean, it's going to be one of those things. But the one thing you can prevent, it's very simple, and it's probably going to happen. It's called pasty bottom. And as you're seeing the chicks run around in here, you want to look at them all over real well every day, because this pasty bottom, what it is the vent where they poop will actually plug up with poop. It's weird. It'll stick to their bottom, it'll stick to their feathers, and it makes a big mess. So when you're like, what is wrong with this chick? You know, when you pick it up and you look, and it's got poop smeared all over its bottom. You need to get that off of there, because it'll prevent the chick from actually pooping, and it'll die. Real simple to fix. Just get a small dish, set the dish there, put warm water in it. You don't want to use cold water, because you know the chick won't like the cold water. He ain't gonna like the warm water either, but he'll like the cold water less. So hold the chick gently, and don't put his whole body down in there. Just get his bottom in the water, and he's gonna squawk and carry on like you're hurting him, but you're not. And just hold his bottom in that water for a few seconds, and have some toilet paper standing by, or a paper towel, and then gently wipe, and then look, and then put him back in. And it might take 3 or 4 times of holding him in the water for a little bit, and you know, maybe about 10 seconds. You'll hold him in there, and then wipe until the bottom is clean, and all the feathers are clean and everything, and then just dry his little bottom off and stick him back in there. I mean, that's all there is to it. It's that simple. It's just a little bowl of warm water. Otherwise, that chick's gonna die. So let me get the camera and give you a closer view inside the brooder here. I put the chicken wire on the heat lamp. You see those 2 pieces of crossed wire there. The chicks will want to jump up on there like it's a roost, and then they peck at the heat lamp. So I put the chicken wire around there to keep that from happening. Now right now the chicken wire is open because I had to put the bulb in there for this video. But I would have that chicken wire sealed up where the chicks couldn't jump up in there and play with that light. That's just why that's there. And then you can see the food dish and the water dish, and then the cedar chips. We haven't had any chicks in here in 2 years, so this is old cedar chips. But I'll just get a dustpan and a hand broom, and you know, sweep all that up and throw it in the compost. So that's all it needs to look like. I mean, it doesn't have to be real fancy or anything like that. It's just something on the floor like the cedar chips to absorb the water, because they are going to throw water all over the place. And you know, give them plenty of room where if they get too hot, they can get away from the heat lamp, and if they get cold, they can get back under the heat lamp. In the morning, they're generally going to be back in the corner there by the heat lamp, all clustered together. And when I come out and put new food and water in, then they're going to start moving around and carrying on and chirping and just being chicks. So I'm going to do another video on how to incorporate the new chicks in with the old hens when the time comes. You know, as they get older and they're getting too big to be in the brooder, and you're going to incorporate them in with the flock, there is going to be some fighting. And if if you don't incorporate them correctly, the fighting could actually lead to fatalities. That they will fight that severely, not always, but sometimes. So I'm going to do a video on how I incorporate the new hens in with the old hens, which dramatically reduces the fighting. You can't get away from the fighting because they have to establish the pecking order, but you can minimize it to just an establishing of the pecking order rather than full-on fighting. When I incorporate my hens, it's for a day or two there's some arguing. It's more like arguing more than fighting. So I'm going to do a video on that. So other than that, keep the heat lamp on all the time, not just at night. I don't think I covered that. Once the chicks are in this brooder, that heat lamp doesn't come off. Okay, it's always on because that's very important that they can stay warm. So you have a great day, great rest of your week, and we'll see you next time at Greenshire. Thanks a lot for watching.